Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is What If Deku had Toji's Heavenly Restriction Part 5. It's honestly been a long time since I've done something this long in terms of a series, and I will admit a good reason for this is because the series is doing really well, and a lot of you really have enjoyed the series. So I was like, you know what? Let me add a little extra something. I'll continue on. Sometimes with series that maybe don't do as well, or some that don't do as good, I won't be super descriptive in certain arcs that I feel like won't change that much. But in this series, I've definitely added a little bit more description and added a little bit more to arcs that really didn't need the extra description. But I decided, you know what? Let me add a little bit something here and a little bit something here, just for the fun of it. As always, though, I'm glad you guys are enjoying, and I hope you all continue to enjoy the what ifs. Show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. I want to get into where we left off ASAP, so let's get into the what if. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is about to start his provisional hero licensing exam, and this exam, in hindsight, would be something super easy for Izuku. Izuku has proven that he is at the highest and peak level in terms of being a hero. He has taken on people like Shigaraki, even people like All For One, and he's shown that he's extremely powerful, and maybe even to the level of being the next All Might. But Aizawa wanted to add an extra challenge and an extra punishment to this provisional hero licensing exam, because Izuku should not have been in the fight with All For One and anybody else, and he kind of went, well, off the grid for a little bit, so he wants to make sure that he feels this punishment. And let's just say the punishment is bad, because he has to have these weights on his body at all times. It makes it so he's extremely restricted, and all the training he's done before is definitely putting a damper on his speed, his agility, his strength, and all of the above. Now, the first part of the provisional hero licensing exam is a dodgeball-like portion, where you have to throw these red balls to actually click lights on other people so that you can get them out, and you need a certain amount of people to eliminate, and then you are able to pass on to the next round. Now, normally, and even now, it's not going to be too difficult for Izuku to actually do this, but he's not going to be able to really help his classmates, like, at all. Like, he's going to be completely useless in terms of helping his classmates because of just how much and how tired he's going to be. He tries his best to actually get through this portion of the provisional hero licensing exam as quickly as possible. And with a little bit of struggle, he's able to actually eliminate the people he needs to eliminate. But like I said, he's not going to be able to help his teammates or his classmates or anything like that. But frankly, a lot of people are questioning why he's even, well, here. Aizawa would tell them that they need to shut their mouths and not worry about why he's here. They should be questioning why he has all this weight on top of him and all the reasons why he's basically struggling. My bad, I just stuttered super bad there. But overall, Izuku is just struggling through this, but he's still able to do things a lot better than most people. But exhaustion, the weight, and all of it is definitely affecting him. And that other level of strength that he was able to get to against All For One, it kind of feels petered. It kind of feels like it's not necessarily even there anymore. Now, deep down, I'm sure that it's still there, but it's definitely not to the degree that it was. That version of him was stronger than everyone, or at least felt like he was stronger than everyone, and he really did need another catastrophic event to occur, or at least some sort of weird occurrence to happen so that he could level up even more. But right now, of course, he's still really powerful and really strong, but he's not at that level he was when fighting All For One. This would lead them to the very next part of the provisional hero licensing exam, and that has a lot to do with helping others, saving people, and all of the above in terms of like rescue and so on. Izuku's able to help pretty much around the area, but it's obvious the fatigue is definitely setting in, And when all of the villains, yes, the villains, including Gang Orca, begin to show up, this is where the tides begin to turn massively, because Izuku is kind of out of it. His normal job would be to stand on the front line and fight with the people that are there to protect those that are in need. But he can barely move. I mean, this guy or this kid is on his last legs in terms of exhaustion, and he steps up to the plate after Todoroki and Inasa continue to argue and continue to actually conflict with each other's powers. He steps up to the plate to try and help, but it's obvious that he can't even really go head to head with someone like Gang Orca. He struggles immensely, and he continues to lose ground more and more, but he says that he'll hold his ground as long as he has to make sure that everyone is okay and safe. But that ground that he's trying to hold won't hold for long, because he begins to lose consciousness very quickly, being overwhelmed by Gang Orca. But luckily enough, many people that are currently there that can actually fight on the front lines begin to help him and begin to actually work together, and that includes Todoroki and Inasa trying to put their difficulties aside and actually help this guy. Now, Izuku would eventually pass out, and all he could think about is how he definitely failed. But when he would wake up, he would be surrounded by, well, Aizawa, Todoroki, but also Sir Night-Eye and Mirio. And immediately Mirio would ask, why did he even participate in the provisional hero licensing exam? And, well, he's confused by this. Like, why is he even asking me that? Like, what do you mean? Like, I had to. Like, I was trying to get my provisional hero license. And, well, Mirio would then flash to him the license that was already made for him, in which Aizawa would then say that it's not like he lied to him. He didn't say that he didn't already pass because of the incident that occurred prior, in which Izuku would be completely too tired to even argue with this, but would grab the provisional hero license and would put it in his pocket and thank them for allowing him this opportunity. He would pass out once again, and after some rest time and some, recovery, finally, he's able to more or less be able to be in good shape, or in good enough shape, so that he can now go and work with Sir Night-Eye's agency once again. But now that they're finally working together, he finally gets information on something that he didn't hear much about when he was there the first time, and that would be the Shihazaikai. Now, they are extremely lethal, and they're doing some very bad things in the world right now, and, well, more specifically, Japan. Now, it all is led up by the one and only Overhaul, and they don't really have a ton of information about his location, about where he could be, about how he's manufacturing different things, and how he's just kind of elevating his more or less gang or his crew to another level. And he continues to expand, especially with the absence of both Shigaraki and All For One, making it even worse for everybody, because all the villains that once were loyal to maybe a Shigaraki or an All For One, or maybe even feared them, are now filtering to the Shihazaikai. And that is a scary thought. Yes, one villain and two villains, or a villain crew being put away, is a great thing. But when there still are many crews of villains and extremely bad people out there, you have a tendency of seeing those other bad people flock to the new gang. And that's something serious that they're going to be thinking about, and also probably would be a way for them to track where Overhaul currently is. But what they wouldn't expect is that one little tiny patrol would come across the one they've been looking for, and, well, this is where Izuku Midoriya and Mirio Togata will face off with Overhaul. Now, they would be going on a normal patrol, just say something simple, a patrol that maybe they saw a sighting of someone here or there, not Overhaul himself, but soon when walking down the street, a little girl by the name of Eri would come sprinting out, and this little girl would immediately fall into the arms of Izuku. Izuku would look to see a man in a mask, and this man is Overhaul, the leader of the Shia Hazaikai and a very dangerous villain, and that may be an understatement. This man is terrifying. But the thing is, Izuku is known basically to this world, and quickly they realize, or Overhaul quickly realizes who he is, and he does the same thing for Mirio Togata. So he believes that there is no hesitation that can be made, and there is no talking his way out of this one, because this might just lead straight to action. And initially, he would kind of briefly say something to try to sway them in a different direction, but it's obvious that there is no getting out of this one, because this version of Mirio and this version of Izuku are in totally different mindsets. Izuku, for one, would not want to let this girl get back into the hands of Overhaul, and Mirio is literally the successor to One for All, or the successor to All Might, and this version of him would not allow Overhaul to take the girl back and just leave. They believe that their strength and their power will be good enough and be strong enough to stop Overhaul from actually escaping, and they can then utilize him and hopefully other information to find where the rest of his gang is. Now, this would divulge into an absolute crazy battle, and everybody would split as fast as possible. Many people around are in extreme danger, so of course they would be sent off in different directions, and they would be running away trying to, survive. None of them want to die here, but Overhaul is showing how strong he truly is. Quickly though, Izuku would tell Mirio that they need to get Eri out of here and make sure that she is safe first, in which Mirio would agree and tell him to go now, pushing him towards Eri as he grabs Eri and tells Mirio not to die, as he jumps off, running as fast as possible and jumping through the city, immediately landing toward an area that would allow Eri to be somewhat safe, putting her within an agency that is nearby. Now, he would immediately sprint back, going back to where Overhaul and Mirio are fighting, and the fight has already broken out into an absolute war of some sorts. They're clashing, and buildings are collapsing, and everything around them is going insane. Now, this wouldn't be the best direction that Sir Night-Eye would want things to happen, but at the same time, you have to do what you have to do, especially with a villain of this caliber. Izuku would then actually come at a perfect angle, hitting Overhaul right in the face, trying to knock him out, but unfortunately he still isn't at the peak shape that he wants to be in, and he's not able to knock Overhaul out, but he's able to stagger him extremely bad. This would lead to actually Mirio landing a clean blow to Overhaul's face, and they begin their onslaught in almost perfect unison, taking Overhaul to the brink of basically his unconsciousness. But before Overhaul could pass out, he's actually able to get reinforcements around as much as possible. These reinforcements are extremely skilled villains, and some extremely powerful as well. Izuku would then take those villains on while Mirio continues to fight against Overhaul. But quickly, the numbers game would extremely hurt them, but luckily enough, there's agencies, heroes, and even Sir Night-Eye's agency itself that are sending more heroes to help Izuku and Mirio. So luckily, they're actually able to even the odds and actually tighten up the score a little bit. Taking on a ton of villains with Overhaul at the head of it is something that would be extremely difficult, so it's good that they have some sort of reinforcements. These reinforcements are some high-level heroes, so this is no little slouch. They are no slouches, but it seems like it's gonna be even more than they can possibly imagine, because like I said, Overhaul has something under his sleeve, or up his sleeve, more than people could imagine. Because when villains begin to leave and villains disappear, well, they're lethal amounts of resources that were left behind. Sometimes, well, they are still left behind, and an opening is seen, especially by some people that are left behind of All For One's crew and All For One's loyal followers. And that opening is an opening to kill not only Izuku, but also Mirio Togata. And soon a Nomu, a high-end Nomu, would come tumbling and crashing down. And this high-end Nomu would stand right next to, well, the one and only Overhaul. And, well, he's there for one reason and one reason only. Not to fight alongside Overhaul, but there's a message ringing right on the back of the Nomu, saying that this is the power he needs, in which Overhaul would be shocked to see this, but then he would slap the back of this Nomu, more or less combining with it, creating a monstrous being that is far stronger than the Overhaul we once knew. Overhaul still being able to control his own quirk, but now his durability skyrocketing to the moon, and on top of that, even more quirks stacked on top of it. Overhaul begins to converge on Mirio and begins to beat the living hell out of him, beating down Mirio to the ground as Izuku and the other heroes handle and round up the other villains. But this fight continues to crash on throughout the city, even divulging so much that even other heroes across Japan begin to converge on it. That includes people like Endeavor trying to help the fight, but obviously he's outgunned at this moment. Mirio with One For All isn't even able to stack up necessarily against the Nomu or the Overhaul infused with a Nomu, and he continues to beat on Mirio. Mirio was then saved by Izuku as Izuku kicks the being away, and he tries to help Mirio out, but quickly the being of Overhaul smashes into him once again and extremely hurts Izuku, and both Mirio and Izuku are bleeding extremely badly, with cuts on their hands, their arms, and also even slight cuts on their heads. Immediately though, Izuku would go to grab Mirio, picking him up as their bloodied hands begin to basically grab onto each other, and he pulls him up, telling him that they got one last chance at this and one last go at it. They don't have a choice because this thing might just be immortal, so they're gonna have to give it 1000% of what they got. They both stand there ready to go, and as Izuku gets ready to fight, he feels a surge surging through his body, or this kind of static electricity shooting through his body, and he doesn't know what it is. But Mirio looks at him in complete shock to see that this guy seems to be getting even stronger, but this isn't what he thinks it is. It seems as if Mirio's drive and want to actually defeat Overhaul, to keep everyone safe, including Eri, and with the blood transfusion, or the blood, his blood and also Izuku's blood touching, and through open wounds, it has transferred One For All. Now, is this permanent? No one's sure, but at this moment, all they can think about is somehow defeating the person standing in front of them. They would charge at Overhaul as they would land multiple blows, and then an extremely powerful double United States of Smash, smashing him into the ground. As they continue to battle, immediately Endeavor would come spiraling in as he tells them that they need to go up, like now. He grabs them both, throwing them up more and more as they beat on Overhaul, going all the way to the sky, and he tells them that he has the rest of it, don't worry, as both Izuku and also Mirio are almost impaled by the Nomu, but they're basically smacked to the ground extremely bad. But they have opened up or gotten an opening for Endeavor, and Endeavor flies the Nomu even deeper into the sky. The Nomu's injuries seem to be extremely brutal, and now with one prominent burn, one that shines brighter than maybe even the sun, he begins to torch the Nomu into little tiny bits, literally torching the Nomu into nothingness, just ash. It seems like the injuries that the Nomu sustained from the fight, with two powered up powered up beings like Mirio and Izuku gave him the opening and the weakness of the Nomu enough that he's able to burn the Nomu to absolute dust. But that includes killing Overhaul. Now, it's sometimes you must do what you must do, but obviously the killing of Overhaul will not go well with the, hero people and all the people in the world. At the end of the day, you did kill somebody, and people may not enjoy or not like that idea fully, but some may be on your side. But for now, all they can think about is that they're able to win. Both Mirio and Izuku lay there completely exhausted and out of it, and Izuku tells Mirio it seems that he was the reason why he was able to level up to the next degree and become stronger than even what All Might was. But Mirio would then regard, saying that it might have been a transfer of One for All that did it, and well, it might be time to realize that Izuku may just be the true successor to One for All. Mirio would laugh a little bit and shake his head, saying that he knew it was too good to be true, but he's sure that he can still be a hero. He looks to Izuku once again, but Izuku is out cold, not actually even conscious anymore. And as Mirio looks at Izuku once again, he sees that One for All begins to leave his body as it comes right back to Mirio and seemingly resets, as if the transfer of One for All was just temporary and not fully complete. Mirio would sigh in mild relief, but also would sigh in, just disbelief that they actually were able to do it. He would black out just like Izuku would, and they would be out cold, but luckily the day was saved, and now everyone is actually safe. And that includes the little girl that was being tormented, tortured, and abused, Eri. But what is next for these heroes? What is next for Izuku, Mirio, and many others? With Overhaul now gone and in the dust and in the wind, with Shigaraki and All for One in prison, what's next and what's the true finale for these heroes? Well, you're going to have to find out in the 6th and final part of What If Deku Had Toji's Heavenly Restriction. As always, if you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Make sure to show some love to the video, as always. Part 6 should be out tomorrow, and the movie of this entire series, which will be a pretty long one, will be out most likely the day after that. That's normally what happens. But like I said, if y'all enjoyed, show some love to the video. And that's all I gotta say. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.